So objections. Now let's like do some like practical I suppose. Like let's go through together and let's try and like make up some solutions to common objections. Now, one thing that I would definitely recommend you do when it comes to objections is what you'll find is 20% of the objections come up 80% of the time. There'll be like two main objections that just come up time and time again, depending on the industry. If you're in corporate B2B, the objection is going to be, oh, can you just send me an email with the information? I'll look over it later tonight. Gay objection. Like that's one of the main ones that will come up in B2B. In B2C, where if it's like an appointment setting program, for example, alpha setters, oh, I need to think about it, or I need to speak to my mom, or something silly like that. The biggest, in fact, actually, statistically, the biggest objection in the high ticket space in the UK is I need to speak to my wife, or I need to speak to my missus, I need to speak to my partner. In the UK, the the sexual energy dynamic is just messed up. It's no longer the male is the household leader and the female is, the submissive housewife. In the UK, it's all sorts of, it's a mess everywhere in the West, but especially in the UK. All these fat, masculine British women walking around the place thinking that they're the leader of the household and all that. So the man, I need to ask my wife. That's statistically the most common one. So if we can identify, okay, well, what are the 80% of objections that come up 20% at a time, and we can prepare that beforehand, I would recommend you always have an answer to these objections written out in front of you every single sales call you make, because that ties back to the performance. You can have it really, really good in here and in theory, but then after you've taken a couple of jabs to the face and then you're in the middle of a fight, you kind of forget a little bit of things. So it's nice to just have it there. So yeah, can anyone think of like the main objections that you either do encounter or you think you will encounter, whether it's closing or phone setting?
Well, you just said them right there. I need to speak to my wife.
Okay.
To speak to my wife. I never really hear it's expensive a lot when I'm closing. I never really do hear that. It's just I need to speak to my wife, or I just need to think. I don't like making decisions on the call. I'm not an impulsive buyer. I like to go and speak to, like this one lady said, I need to speak to my friend when she's back from holiday. I need to go weigh up other options, or I want to go see other competitors. Shit like that. They just want to go see. I want to go and see.
Still in? Is there any major objections that come up with yours?
Yeah, one that I always hear is, I'm busy now, can you call me in an hour or two?
Is that
And it's weird because like if you pick up the phone, you're not that busy then, like if they're able to pick up the phone. But yeah, I see that all the time.
You can say that, right? You can say that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you had 30 seconds to pick up the call, so I'm sure you've got 30 more seconds to talk.
Yeah, well, construction builders, they get a bit, they're weird, bro.
Yeah. I'd say that. I'd personally say that.
Have you got any more?
Also tell me the price, and yeah, it's mainly just pricing as well. Like before we move on, what is this going to cost me? They just say stuff like that.
Yeah, cool. All right, cool. So we've got a nice little array of things there. So Aman, like what? Tell me again. Are you going into closing or are you going into phone setting?
Closing.
Going into closing, and what's the offer?
Forex trading.
Okay, cool. So one objection you probably get for Forex trading is like, I need to check if it's legit or something like that.
Yeah.
That seems like a very closer objection, for a very Forex objection that you might get. Cool. So we've got a list of objections here. So I guess we just start from the top. So speak to wife. We'll start with that one. My favorite. So how has anyone got any suggestions on how we will handle this objection?
Kind of. So obviously, diffuse, like, yeah. Oh, is someone say something?
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, obviously, diffuse the objection. Like, yeah, man, I understand. It's always good to make, decisions as a couple. Like, that's what the family is for, right? Confirm the product. Like, overall, like you yourself, just me speaking to you right now, like man to man, how do you feel about everything? Like, how do you feel about the process and everything I've walked you through? The step-by-step process. Do you think that we can get you to XYZ? Like, cool. And like on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in that? Okay. So you're pretty confident, right? And like, how do you think your wife will feel? You know what I mean? And he'll say, however, he's like, oh, say if he says, I don't know, that's probably shot myself in the foot by asking that. But yeah, how do you think your wife will feel? Okay, nice. And like, what if your wife says no? And then, he says, oh, da 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 da. And like, sometimes I'll say, oh, well, I'll try. And I had this one guy, he said, I'll try and convince her to say yes. I was like, oh, okay. So if you're going to try and convince her to say yes anyway, and you're 100% confident, like, brother, give me the money, bro. Like, what are we talking about here? You know what I mean? So, something like, okay, say if they're really confident, I'd be like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? If you're really confident at the end of the day, you're the person who's buying this product and you 100% believe we can get you to the guarantee and everything. What specifically do you need to speak to her about? Like, why do you need her permission for something that you know is going to be successful for you? Like, your wife will probably want the best for you, right? Something like that. That's kind of the lines I go along. But
well, that's exactly how I'd handle the objection as well. Like that's what I would have said. And it's like, okay, like wife side, like, okay, like, of course, go speak to your wife, like, totally. But like, what do you think of it? Like, is it everything that you're looking for? Like, you 100% on this? And I'd obviously get confirmation on that. If they're not 100% on this, then there's still another objection that needs handling. That's the wife is a smokescreen. Why are they not 100% on this? But if they're 100% on this, okay, cool. Like, okay, so you're 100% on this. So now what we need to do is we need to work together here to make sure that your wife is going to be on board, right? So, and then what you're going to do is actually, I should continue. We need to work together here to make sure that so that we can get your wife on board with this. But just curious, bro, like, what if your wife says no? Like, what happens then? And then they're going to say one of two things. I can't do it, or I'm going to do it anyway. If they say I'm going to do it anyway, which a lot of people actually will say, I'm going to do it anyway. Well, I was like, oh, well, what we're doing, what we're messing around for, bro? What we're messing around for, bro?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're going to do it anyway, so let's just get started. I'll send you the payment link. Cool. Let me know when you sorted it, bro. And also let me know what email I should send the blah, blah, blah to. If they say they're going to do it anyway, boom, we just close them right then and there. They've just closed themselves because they're done. If they say, oh, well, I can't do it, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, totally understand. And then from there, what you've got to do is you've just got to help sell the wife. Is your wife in right now? Can we speak to her together so that we can hopefully try and close on this? We're now a team. It's us against her. It's the same in B2B as well. If you've got a decision maker, but there's levels to decision makers, and this decision maker's got to get approval from the finance team or whatever, or the budgeting department. Now it's us two against them. Now we've got to work together and make a plan to be able to close the next guy. So that's how I do with speak to wife. What's the next one? I need to think about it. I'm not going to ask David for this one because I know David. No, David should know this, I assume. I need to think about it. How would someone deal with this objection?
I mean, that is a smokescreen, so you just say what is there to think about, and then they're usually going to say their actual objection.
Correct. It is a smokescreen. However, I would disagree. I would say if they say I need to think about it, and they say what do I need to think about, I would argue that they're not going to tell you the actual objection. They're going to give you another smokescreen. They're going to be like, oh well, I just want to give it some thought before I make a personal plan, before I make a decision. Oh, I just want to look over it to make sure this is right for me. Oh well, I just want some time. It's a big decision, so I just want to sleep on it. They're just going to give you the same shit back. Is what I would argue.
I'll just go across with like, do you not feel 100% about what we spoke about? Like, what is it that you need to think about exactly? And then I'll say, so for example, I bring up the fact that if I tell someone I need to think about something, in the next 3 days, I'm not exactly going to think about it. So when we come back to that call in the follow-up time, do you really think you're going to spend the next 3 days thinking about it? Or are you just going to come up with an answer on the spot? Like, let's work together, figure out what you need to think about, and just ask me what you need, and then go from there.
I like the let's work together thing. I like that line a lot. But I think also, some feedback, I think also by trying to sort of like, well, are you really going to spend the next 3 days thinking about it? Like, again, logically, who's going to sit there for 3 days? You know what? You're not going to sit there for 3 days thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realise what thinking about it means. Thinking about it means thinking about it, not going to washing the pots, going and speaking to your wife, going to play some Warzone. That's not thinking about it, pal. It's procrastinating. But by putting them on the spot like that, what I might do is raise their defenses. Might make them defensive. You know, is that the right? They might cooperate. A percentage of the time, they probably will cooperate. And be like, oh yeah, you're right. But depending on the person, it might also trigger fight or flight. Might make them defensive. Does anyone else have any ideas about how to handle? I need to think about it. I mean, Killian, before we get on to David. Killian, how would you handle this?
We could give them the guarantees and stuff like that.
Okay.
So, just like you said yesterday, like chat shit to them, kind of say like, oh, like this, you're going to do a great job, or you're going to get a great ROI at the quality of your product, all this.
So, when we spoke yesterday, I told you there's two ways of handling the objection. We either make them realize it for themselves, or we just tell them that they're wrong, basically. You're going down like we're telling them that they're wrong. They don't need to think about it because it just makes so much sense for them to go forward because it's just such a great product. That would only work if we're a super authority. They really look up to us. They really trust us. They really see us as an authority. At that point, they probably won't be giving us bullshit smoke screen objections. So we need to make them realize they're wrong here. We need to figure out the solution. We need to ask questions to get there. So, David, please, how would you handle I need to think about it?
I need to think about it. Okay, you know what I mean? Acknowledge like, oh yeah, 100%, man. I mean, it is a lot of money, right? Just to clarify then, like, just clarify. No, I mean, there's a range of ways, right?
There's
okay,
a lot
I need
of
to
ways
think
that I
about
can
it.
Yeah.
But, you know what I mean? There's a lot of ways. So obviously, just you can clarify the product again, or you'd ask them, okay, bro. Well, the way I see it is, if you know you were 100% confident in the product, if you knew that if you were 100% confident that we're going to get you to X, Y, Z, you're confident in the step-by-step process, you wouldn't really have to think about it, right? It'd just be it'd be a no-brainer. Like it's like someone coming to you with 10K and asking you to give them 5K. Like you'd give them the 5K, right? If you knew they were going to give you 10K. And that's kind of a similar situation to where we're in. So I mean, you telling me right now that you sort of need to think about it definitely seems like, okay, I mean, you can go away and think about it, but there's something specifically that to do with a product or maybe with what I've said or, you know, the results or what the guarantee or whatever, that you're not 100% confirmed. You're not 100% sold on this and you don't 100% think that this is probably going to be the thing to take you to the next level. So, I mean, I'm the best person you actually need to speak to if you want to think about something, right? So, like, let me know, like, what specifically would you say you're looking to think about? What do you need more clarification on?
Okay. I think it was basically what Aman said, but in more words. But I liked it. Because you're right. Like I liked the analogy that you used. I liked the, you know, what I liked about that specifically, and you're onto something there, is I'm the best person to talk to here. So this is like, I think this is the Andy Elliott way of thinking, handling that I need to think about it. Instead, it'd be like, oh yeah, of course you need to think about it. I haven't given you enough information not to think about it. That's the Andy Elliott way of doing it. It's like, and I've got all the information here. So anything that you need to think about, anything that you need to go through, any more information that you need, let's work together here. Let me help you because I've got all the information in front of me to help you make the best decision here. Does that sound good? Cool. So what do you think about the price and everything? Like, does the price make sense? And then you're just going to go through the things step by step to try and figure out, okay, what is he unsure about? That's the Andy Elliott approach. There's my favorite way of handling this. So there's two other ways of handling this objection that I want to talk about here. So there's the information work together one. The one that I like to do is the one that I actually said earlier in this call, actually, is the follow-up call. So what I do is I'm like, oh yeah, of course you need to think about it. I know worries. Are you free tomorrow? And like you can go away, you can have a sleep on it, you can make up your mind, and then we can have a catch-up call tomorrow. See if you've got any more questions for me. And I'll book a follow-up call. I don't care about the follow-up call. I've got no intention of letting it go to a follow-up call. But what I do when I book a follow-up call is it makes it sound like I'm going to walk away. You know, it doesn't sound like I'm going to sell to them now. Oh, we've got another call and we're done here. I'm not pushing you to make a decision now because we've got a call tomorrow. So that they bring their guard down. They're here. They bring the guard down, bang! They smack them in the face because they've dropped the guard. So, book the follow-up call. Oh yeah, by the way, just one quick thing before we go, bro. Before we go, obviously we speak tomorrow and everything. Just so that I know what questions you might have for me tomorrow. What is it that you need to run through in your head before you make a decision on this? The guard is lowered. We're having a conversation tomorrow. And the reason I'm asking the question, because in sales it's always good. It's never a bad thing to have a reason to ask something or a reason to do something, right? Just so that I know what questions you might have for me tomorrow. What is it that you need to go through in your head later before you can make a decision on this? And now we're uncovering the real objection. The guard is lowered. Worst case scenario, because you can't handle 100% of objections. That's the truth, no matter how good you are. This works very, very well. It basically always works for me with the market that I'm selling in. They'll tell you the main objection is either the price, it's either like they want to do some competitor research to try and get the best price. They want to look at our testimonials because they don't trust us enough. It's usually a trust objection or a price objection, right? The real objection is going to come out once I've brought their guard down, I've put the follow-up call, and then I ask them the question. But worst case scenario, we've got a follow-up call booked for tomorrow. So even worst case scenario, I don't handle the objection. Cool. Or I'll be speaking to them tomorrow morning and I'll be handling the objection then. And I won't be taking a no for an answer on a second call. So
would you say yours is like yours? Would you say like your way is kind of like what me and kind of Aman said, but it's just you're getting ready to walk away? Because like the way me and Aman did it, like, oh, okay, cool, it's 100%. It's 100%. Like you're clearly not sold on it, but we didn't push, we didn't pull away. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I don't want to just ask them, okay, what do you need to think about? Because again, it will work with some people, but a lot of people it'll trigger fight or flight. So first, I'm getting the defenses down first so that I don't trigger that reflex. And then not only am I getting the defenses down and then asking them, well, what do you need to think about it? I'm giving them a reason for why I'm asking the question. And I'm wording it differently. I think that's like the Jeremy Minor way of doing it. What I learned in the book. That's my favorite way of doing it. That's what I use personally on sales calls. But there's another really good way of doing things as well that I whip out from time to time from the toolkit, which is similar to what David said again. Okay, yeah, no, sure, no problem, bro. Like, of course, like you need to think about it. I mean, to be honest, I probably would still book the follow-up call tomorrow. Like, I would do that anyway, no matter whether I try and, no matter what I say next, I would just do this just to get the defenses down. But, oh yeah, of course, bro, like, you need to think about it. So, where would you say you're currently at then, bro? So like, let's say like 0 out of 10 is this product sounds horrible, like never speak to me again, like this sounds like a load of shit. And 10 out of 10 is like, bro, like, well, I need to give you money right now. Like, I can't wait to get started. I want to get started right here, right now, on the spot. This is exactly what I'm looking for. So on a scale of 1 to 10, like where would you say you're at right now? And then they're going to give me a number. They're going to be like, usually they're going to be like 8, 7 or 8, or something silly like that. Some cop-out answer. They're like, oh, like, I'm an 8 out of 10. I'm like, okay, cool, bro. Like, thank you. That's a really good score, bro. So, you know, why is it an 8 out of 10? Oh, well, it sounds like everything I'm looking for. It sounds great. Okay, cool. So, obviously, 10 out of 10 would be like, okay, like, I'm really, really interested. I want to get started. 8 out of 10 is like, yeah, it sounds great, but, you know, I'm not really sure. What would you say is missing? Like, what would you say is missing that's stopping this from being a 10 out of 10? They've never got an answer to that question. Because nothing's missing. They're just scared, or they don't trust you, or it's the price. Nothing's missing. So now they're going to give you the objection. They're going to be like, oh, well, I don't know. I'm like, oh, well, if you don't know, then like, what? So it's a 10 out of 10? I was like, yeah, it's a 10 out of 10, but I just need to think about it. Well, 10 out of 10, bro, would be I need to like buy it right here, right now, because you're that excited to get started. And then you're going to go, oh, well, I think it's just the price. Like, I want to just think about the price of it. Well, okay, cool. So price aside, ignore the price. Is this product a 10 out of 10? Okay, cool. So do you understand why it does cost this much if we're able to guarantee you this result? The whole I think about it objection, the whole way to handle this, all we need to do is just find out what the objection is. The best way to do that, in my opinion, book the follow-up call, and then you can go from there. The defenses are down, and now you can ask them what the real objection is. That's how I do this. And that's what Yomi does. I mean, like David, I'm sure like you watch Yomi sales calls a lot more than I do. This probably comes up quite a lot, and Yomi, handles this like a beast. So I need to think about it. What's next? We'll do some phone setting ones. So